The Galactic Academy's unusual assignment. In the vast expanse of the Andromeda Galaxy, nestled within the shimmering nebula of Zorak 7, stood the prestigious Galactic Academy of Studies. Its crystalline spires stretched towards the stars, a beacon of knowledge for the most brilliant minds across the cosmos. Within its hallowed halls, students of countless species gathered to learn about the diverse life forms inhabiting the universe. Professor Xylara, a respected Zoraksian scholar with iridescent scales and multifaceted eyes, floated into her classroom on a cushion of anti-gravity. Her tentacles waved in excitement as she addressed her diverse group of students. "Greetings, future xenologists," she chirped, her voice translating seamlessly through the universal communicators. "Today we embark on a most intriguing study. We shall delve into the mysteries of a species that has puzzled the galactic community for centuries." The classroom buzzed with anticipation. Gelatinous blobians quivered, crystalline quartzians refracted light in excitement, and even the usually stoic vaporans condensed slightly in curiosity. "Tell us, Professor," exclaimed Zorb, a young blodian whose amorphous form rippled with eagerness. "Is it the psychic jellyfish of Neptunium VI, or perhaps the sentient clouds of gaseous prime?" Professor Xylara's scales shifted to a deep purple, indicating amusement. "No, my dear students. Today, we study a species far more perplexing. A species that, despite their primitive technology and limited lifespan, has managed to survive and even thrive on their tiny blue planet in a rather unremarkable solar system." A collective gasp echoed through the room as realization dawned on the students. "Humans," whispered Crystal, a quartzian whose facets sparkled with disbelief. "But Professor, they haven't even mastered faster-than-light travel. What could we possibly learn from such a simplistic species?" Professor Xylara's scales rippled with a pattern that translated to a knowing smile. "Ah, Crystal, that is precisely why humans are so fascinating. Despite their technological limitations, they possess qualities that continue to baffle even our most advanced civilizations. Their creativity, resilience, and sheer determination in the face of adversity make them a subject worthy of our study." The professor's tentacles danced across her holo interface, projecting images of Earth and its inhabitants onto the classroom's dome-like ceiling. The students gazed in wonder at the diverse landscapes, teeming cities, and the myriad of human expressions and activities. "Your assignment," Professor Xylara continued, her voice tinged with excitement, "is to immerse yourselves in human culture, history, and achievements. Then you will write an essay from the perspective of a human, explaining their species to the rest of the galaxy." A chorus of surprised chirps, bubbles, and electromagnetic pulses filled the room. Write as a human. The very idea seemed preposterous to many of the students. Zorp's gelatinous form wobbled uncertainly. "But Professor, how can we possibly understand the human perspective? Their brains are so fleshy and limited compared to ours." Professor Xylara's scales shifted to a warm, encouraging orange. "That, my dear Zorp, is the beauty of this assignment. It will challenge you to think beyond your own experiences and truly empathize with a species very different from your own. Remember, understanding and empathy are the cornerstones of Studies." As the students began to discuss the assignment among themselves, a quiet voice spoke up from the back of the room. It belonged to Lyra, a young vaporan who usually remained in her gaseous state, barely visible to her classmates. "Professor," Lyra's wispy voice carried through the room, causing her fellow students to turn in surprise. "I've heard stories about humans. They say that despite their short lives, they dream big and feel deeply. Is that true?" Professor Xylara's scales shimmered with approval. "Indeed, Lyra. Humans have a capacity for emotion and imagination that rivals even the most advanced species in our galaxy. Their art, music, and literature are testaments to their inner worlds. In fact, that's what makes this assignment so crucial. We need to understand not just their technology or biology, but their hearts and souls." The professor's words hung in the air, filling the classroom with a sense of anticipation and wonder. Even the most skeptical students found themselves intrigued by the challenge ahead. "Now," Professor Zillara said, her tentacles gesturing expansively, "to aid in your research, I've arranged for a very special guest lecturer. Tomorrow, we will be visited by Zara 9, a renowned anthropologist who has spent the last Earth decade observing humans in secret." Excited murmurs rippled through the classroom. Zara 9 was a legend in cinestudy circles, known for her daring undercover missions and groundbreaking insights into various species. "Prepare your questions, students," Professor Xulera advised. "This is a rare opportunity to gain first-hand knowledge about humans from someone who has lived among them. And remember, the goal of your essay is not just to recite facts, but to capture the essence of humanity. What drives them? What are their hopes, their fears, their dreams?" As the class dispersed, the students' minds were abuzz with questions and possibilities. How could they possibly encapsulate the human experience in a single essay? The challenge seemed daunting, yet oddly exhilarating. Lyra, still hovering near the back of the room, condensed slightly into a more visible form. "Professor," she asked hesitantly, Do you think humans would find us as fascinating as we find them?" Professor Xylara's scales rippled with a gentle, almost maternal pattern. "Oh, Lyra, I have no doubt they would. Humans have an insatiable curiosity about the universe and its inhabitants. In fact, their scientists and artists have imagined countless forms of alien life, some eerily close to actual species they've never encountered. Their capacity for wonder is truly remarkable." As the students filed out of the classroom, their usual chatter replaced by thoughtful silence, Professor Zulara couldn't help but feel a sense of anticipation. This assignment had the potential to change perspectives, challenge preconceptions, and perhaps even bridge the vast gulf between humanity and the rest of the galactic community. Little did she know that one essay, born from this assignment, would soon set in motion a chain of events that would forever alter the course of both human and alien history. The stage was set for a meeting of minds that would transcend the boundaries of space, time, and biology, all starting with a simple classroom assignment in a far-flung corner of the Andromeda Galaxy, Earth's unexpected visitor. On a crisp autumn morning in the small town of Millbrook, nestled in the heart of rural America, life proceeded as it always had. Farmers tended to their fields, children rushed to school, and the local diner buzzed with the usual breakfast crowd. No one could have predicted that this ordinary day would mark the beginning of an extraordinary encounter. Sarah Chen, a 17-year-old high school senior with a passion for astrophysics and science fiction, sat at her usual spot by the window in Mr. Thompson's physics class. Her mind, however, was light years away from the lecture on quantum mechanics. Sarah's gaze was fixed on the clear blue sky, her imagination painting pictures of distant worlds and alien civilizations. "Ms. Chen," Mr. Thompson's voice cut through her daydream. "Perhaps you'd like to share with the class what's so fascinating outside the window." Sarah snapped back to reality, her cheeks flushing with embarrassment. "Sorry, Mr. Thompson. I was just thinking about, well, what if we're not alone in the universe? What if someone out there is studying us right now?" A few snickers rippled through the classroom, but Mr. Thompson's expression softened. "An interesting thought, Sarah. While the possibility of extraterrestrial life is a fascinating topic, it's a bit beyond the scope of our current lesson. Now, if we could return to Schrödinger's cat." As Mr. Thompson turned back to the whiteboard, Sarah couldn't shake the feeling that her idle musings might be more relevant than anyone realized. Little did she know, high above Earth's atmosphere, her hypothetical scenario was about to become startlingly real. Orbiting the planet in a cloaked ship, Zara 9 prepared for her descent to the surface. After a decade of observing humanity from afar, she had been granted permission for limited direct interaction to gather final data for her report to the Galactic Academy. Her true form, a shimmering, multi-dimensional being of pure energy, was hidden beneath a carefully crafted human disguise. Zara 9's mission was simple: spend one Earth week living among humans in a typical small town, gathering first-hand experiences to share with her eager students back at the academy. She had chosen Millbrook for its perfect blend of rural charm and modern amenities, a microcosm of human society that would provide rich material for her lecture. As Zara 9's ship began its silent descent towards a secluded landing spot just outside town, Sarah Chen felt an inexplicable shiver run down her spine. She glanced out the window once more, half expecting to see something extraordinary. But the sky remained clear and blue, betraying no sign of the visitor about to change everything. The final bell rang, releasing a flood of students into Millbrook's quiet streets. Sarah walked home, her backpack heavy with physics textbooks, but her mind lighter than air, filled with questions about the cosmos. As she rounded the corner onto Maple Street, she collided with someone, a woman she had never seen before. "Oh, I'm so sorry," Sarah apologized. Steadying herself, she looked up into the face of a striking woman with silver-streaked black hair and eyes that seemed to shimmer with an otherworldly light. "No harm done, young one," the woman replied, her voice carrying a lilting accent Sarah couldn't quite place. "I'm new in town, and I'm afraid I've lost my way. Could you perhaps direct me to the local inn?" Sarah nodded, her natural friendliness overcoming her initial surprise. "Of course. The Millbrook Inn is just 2 blocks down, on the corner of Oak and Main. You can't miss it. It's the big white Victorian house with the wraparound porch." The woman smiled, and for a moment, Sarah could have sworn she saw flecks of starlight dancing in her eyes. "Thank you, Sarah. Your kindness is appreciated." As the woman walked away, Sarah stood frozen in place. How did she know my name? She wondered. She hadn't introduced herself, and Millbrook was too small for name tags or school uniforms. A mixture of excitement and unease bubbled up inside her. There was something different about this woman, something Sarah couldn't quite put her finger on. Zara 9, in her human guise, smiled to herself as she walked towards the inn. Her first interaction with a human had gone well, even if she had slipped up by using the girl's name. She made a mental note to be more careful. Humans were generally unaware of the telepathic abilities many alien species possessed. Over the next few days, Millbrook found itself abuzz with curiosity about the enigmatic newcomer. Zara 9, introducing herself simply as Zara, seemed to appear everywhere. Asking questions at the local diner, observing children at play in the park, even attending a town council meeting. Her interest in every aspect of Millbrook life was insatiable, and her unique perspective on everyday matters left many townspeople both charmed and slightly puzzled. Sarah, driven by her innate curiosity and the strange feeling she couldn't shake, found herself gravitating towards Zora whenever she appeared around town. She observed as Zora marveled at simple things like vending machines and traffic lights, and noted how she would sometimes tilt her head as if listening to frequencies no one else could hear. On the 3rd day of Zora's visit, Sarah's suspicions reached a tipping point. She decided to confront the mysterious woman, her heart pounding with a mixture of fear and excitement. She found Zora sitting on a bench in the town square, watching a group of children play with an ice cream vendor's dog. "Excuse me, Zara." Sarah approached cautiously. "Can I ask you something?" Zara turned, her shimmering eyes locking onto Sarah's. "Of course, Sarah Chen. I've been expecting you to ask." Sarah took a deep breath. "Who? What are you really? You're not from around here, are you? And I don't just mean not from Millbrook." For a moment, the world seemed to stand still. Zara's form appeared to flicker, as if a veil was lifting. When she spoke, her voice resonated with a depth that seemed to echo from the stars themselves. "You are as perceptive as you are curious, Sarah Chen. You are correct. I am not from your world. I am a visitor, an observer from a place far beyond your solar system." Sarah's knees felt weak, but excitement surged through her veins. "I knew it. But why are you here? Why Millbrook?" Zara's human disguise solidified once more, but the otherworldly gleam in her eyes remained. "I am here to learn, Sarah, to understand. Your species fascinates us. Your resilience, your creativity, your capacity for both great kindness and terrible destruction. Millbrook, with its simplicity and complexity, offers a perfect window into the human experience. As the truth of Zara's nature sank in, Sarah's mind raced with questions. But before she could voice them, Zara held up a hand. I know you have many questions, Tara, and I promise to answer them. But first, I need your help. My time here is limited, and there is still much I need to understand about humanity. Will you assist me? Sarah nodded without hesitation. Yes, of course. But what about everyone else? Should we tell them? Zara shook her head gently. For now, this must remain between us. The time for open contact between our peoples has not yet come, but perhaps with your help, we can pave the way for that future. As the sun began to set over Millbrook, casting long shadows across the town square, Sarah Chen found herself standing on the precipice of an adventure beyond her wildest dreams. She, an ordinary girl from a small town, was about to become a bridge between worlds, all because she dared to look up at the stars and wonder. Little did Sarah know that her encounter with Zora 9 would not only change her life, but would also play a crucial role in shaping the future relationship between humanity and the vast, diverse galactic community that awaited them among the stars. Humanity's ingenuity put to the test. As the week progressed, Sarah found herself living a double life. By day, she was a typical high school senior, attending classes and hanging out with friends. But every evening, she would meet Zara in secret, helping the alien anthropologist understand the nuances of human life that couldn't be gleaned from mere observation. On the 5th day of Zara's visit, their usual meeting was interrupted by the wail of sirens. Fire trucks raced through Millbrook's streets, heading towards the old forest on the outskirts of town. Sarah and Zara followed the commotion, joining a growing crowd of onlookers at the edge of the woods. A wall of flames rose above the treetops, painting the evening sky an ominous orange. The fire chief's voice boomed through a megaphone, ordering everyone to stay back. The summer had been unusually dry, and the fire was spreading faster than the local department could contain it. This is terrible, Sarah gasped, watching as the firefighters struggled against the inferno. If it reaches the other side of the forest, it could threaten half the town. Zara observed the scene with a mixture of concern and fascination. In situations like this, how do humans typically respond? Do you have protocols? Zara observed the scene with a mixture of concern and fascination. In situations like this, how do humans typically respond? Do you have protocols in place? Sarah nodded, her eyes fixed on the firefighters battling the blaze. We do, but sometimes the situation calls for more than just following procedures. That's when human ingenuity really shines. As if on cue, Sarah spotted Mr. Thompson, her physics teacher, deep in conversation with the fire chief. Their animated gestures suggested a heated debate. Curiosity piqued, Sarah edged closer, pulling Zara along with her. If we can create a controlled burn here and here, Mr. Thompson was saying, sketching a rough map in the dirt with a stick, we can cut off the fire's path and save the town. The fire chief shook his head. Too risky. We don't have the manpower or the equipment to control a burn of that size. Then we'll have to think bigger, Mr. Thompson insisted. He turned to the crowd, his voice rising above the crackling of the flames. We need volunteers, anyone with a truck, tractor, or any heavy machinery. And we need every able-bodied person who can wield a shovel or carry water. The response was immediate. Farmers brought their tractors. Construction workers arrived with bulldozers, and dozens of townspeople came running with shovels, buckets, and whatever tools they could find. Sarah and Zara watched in awe as the community transformed into a well-oiled machine, following Mr. Thompson's improvised plan. Under the physics teacher's guidance, the heavy machinery began carving wide fire breaks through the forest, while volunteers created smaller barriers and doused spot fires. The air filled with smoke and the sound of engines roaring, But there was also something else, a palpable sense of determination and unity. "This is remarkable," Zara murmured, her eyes wide with wonder. "The way they're working together, adapting to the situation. It's unlike anything I've seen in my studies." Sarah beamed with pride. "This is what humans do best. When our backs are against the wall, we don't just give up. We innovate, we cooperate, and we fight back." As the night wore on, the tide of the battle began to turn. The fire breaks held, and the main body of the fire was slowly but surely contained. By dawn, exhausted but triumphant, the people of Millbrook had saved their town and much of the forest. In the aftermath, as the smoke cleared and the sun rose on a new day, Sarah and Zara stood on a hilltop overlooking the scene. The forest bore the scars of the fire, but patches of green still stood defiantly among the charred areas. "You know," Sarah said thoughtfully, "this reminds me of humanity as a whole. We faced so many challenges throughout our history. Natural disasters, diseases, wars. Sometimes it looks like we're on the brink of destruction. But we always find a way to pull through, to rebuild and grow stronger." Zara nodded, her expression thoughtful. "I think I understand now why your species has survived and thrived despite your technological limitations. Your adaptability, your creativity in the face of adversity. It's truly remarkable." As they made their way back into town, they passed groups of tired but happy volunteers. Neighbors were helping neighbors clean up, sharing food and water, and already making plans to replant the damaged parts of the forest. "There's something else you should know about humans," Sarah added with a smile. "We're not just good at responding to crises, we're also pretty amazing at healing and growing afterwards." Zara's eyes sparkled with understanding. "I see it now. Your strength isn't just in your ability to fight against destruction, but in your capacity to create and nurture. It's a beautiful balance." As they walked, Sarah couldn't help but feel a surge of pride, not just in her town, but in humanity as a whole. She realized that in helping Zara understand humans, she had gained a new appreciation for her own species. Little did Sarah know that this event, and her insights, would play a crucial role in Zara's report back to the Galactic Academy, setting the stage for a shift in how the wider universe viewed humanity. An interstellar cultural exchange. As Zara's week in Millbrook drew to a close, she found herself facing a dilemma. The data she had gathered, especially after witnessing the town's response to the forest fire, had profoundly changed her understanding of humanity. She knew her report to the Galactic Academy would challenge many preconceptions about Earth's inhabitants, but she also felt that something was missing, a final piece that would truly capture the essence of human potential. On her last evening in Millbrook, Zara met Sarah at their usual spot in the town square. The air was heavy with the scent of rain-washed earth and new beginnings, mirroring the mix of excitement and melancholy Sarah felt about her alien friend's impending departure. "Sarah," Zara began, her voice carrying a note of hesitation, unusual for the typically confident alien, "I have a request. It's unconventional, and possibly against some of my mission parameters, but I believe it's necessary." Sarah leaned forward, intrigued. "What is it?" "I want you to write an essay," Zara said. "An essay about humanity, from your perspective. Not as a scientific observation, but as a heartfelt expression of what it means to be human. This essay will be presented alongside my report to the Galactic Academy." Sarah's eyes widened. "Me? Write an essay for aliens? But I'm just a high school student. Surely there are more qualified people, scientists, philosophers, world leaders." Zara shook her head, her eyes shimmering with conviction. "No, Sarah. You are perfect for this task. You represent the future of humanity. Curious, compassionate, and full of potential. Your words, coming from a young human on the cusp of adulthood, will carry more weight than you can imagine." As the magnitude of the request sank in, Sarah felt a mix of terror and exhilaration. What should I write about? How do I even begin to sum up all of humanity in one essay? Zara smiled encouragingly. "Write from your heart, Sarah. Tell us what makes humans unique, what drives you, what you dream of. Help us understand not just what humanity is, but what it could be." With trembling hands, Sarah accepted the sleek alien device Zora offered her to compose the essay. It was lighter than air, and seemed to respond to her thoughts as much as her touch. As she began to write, the words flowed more easily than she had expected, fueled by her experiences over the past week and a lifetime of being human. Hours passed like minutes as Sarah poured her heart into the essay. She wrote about human creativity, from the cave paintings of our ancestors to the symphonies that moved people to tears. She described the indomitable human spirit that drove explorers to cross oceans and astronauts to walk on the moon. She reflected on the capacity for love and empathy that allowed people to form connections across vast differences. But Sarah didn't shy away from humanity's flaws either. She acknowledged the conflicts that had scarred human history, the environmental challenges they faced, and the inequalities that still plagued societies. Yet, she argued, it was the very awareness of these flaws that spurred humans to strive for better, to dream of peace, to fight for justice, and to reach for the stars. As dawn broke, casting a rosy glow over Millbrook, Sarah finished her essay. She felt drained yet oddly invigorated, as if she had run a marathon of the mind and soul. Zara read the essay, her alien features displaying an array of emotions that Sarah had never seen before. When she finished, there was a long moment of silence. "Sarah," Zara finally said, her voice thick with emotion, This is extraordinary. You've captured something here that goes beyond mere facts or observations. You've conveyed the very essence of humanity's potential." Sarah blushed, both proud and humbled. "I just wrote what I felt. Do you really think it will make a difference?" Zara nodded solemnly. "More than you know. This essay, combined with my report, could change the way the entire galactic community views Earth. It could be the first step towards a new era of interstellar relations." As they said their goodbyes, Sarah felt a profound sense of connection, not just to Zara, but to the vast, unknown universe that awaited humanity. She realized that in writing about her species, she had also written a promise of what humanity could become if they embraced their best qualities. Zara's ship departed silently in the pre-dawn light, leaving no trace of its week-long visit except for the indelible mark it had left on Sarah's life and the potential it had unlocked for humanity's future. Back in Millbrook, life returned to its normal rhythm, but for Sarah Chen, nothing would ever be quite the same. She looked at her world with new eyes, seeing not just what was, but what could be. And somewhere deep inside, she nurtured a spark of hope that one day she might see Zara again, not as a secret visitor, but as a friend in a galaxy that had opened its arms to humanity. The essay that changed everything. Months passed, and life in Millbrook settled back into its familiar routines. For Sarah Chen, however, the memory of her extraordinary week with Zora remained vivid. She often found herself gazing at the stars, wondering about the impact of her essay and the decisions being made in distant corners of the galaxy. Meanwhile, light years away, the Galactic Academy of Studies was abuzz with excitement. Professor Xalara's classroom was packed beyond capacity, with students from all corners of the galaxy eager to hear Zara 9's report on humanity. Zara 9, her energy form shimmering with barely contained enthusiasm, stood before the class. "Esteemed colleagues and students," she began, her voice resonating through the telepathic field that connected the diverse audience. "I come before you today not just with a report, but with a revelation that may reshape our understanding of the cosmos." The room fell silent, every being present focused intently on Zara's words. "Humanity," Zara continued, "is not merely a primitive species stumbling towards the stars. They are a force of nature, a wellspring of potential that we, in our advanced state, may have forgotten how to recognize." Murmurs rippled through the audience as Zara recounted her experiences on Earth, from the everyday kindnesses she witnessed to the awe-inspiring response to the forest fire. With each anecdote, the initially skeptical audience grew more intrigued. But Zara said, her form pulsing with excitement. Rather than merely tell you about humanity, I believe it's crucial that you hear from a human directly. I present to you an essay, written by a young human named Sarah Chen, that captures the essence of her species in a way no outsider ever could. As Zara began to read Sarah's essay aloud, the classroom transformed. The words, simple yet profound, painted a vivid picture of humanity. Their dreams, their struggles, their boundless potential. Sarah's honest account of human flaws, paired with her unwavering hope for the future, resonated deeply with the alien audience. Crystal, the once skeptical Quartzian student, found her crystalline structure vibrating with emotion. Zorp, the Blobian, stretched and morphed in ways that indicated deep thought and revelation. Even the usually stoic Vaporans condensed into visible forms, drawn in by the power of Sarah's words. As Zara reached the conclusion of the essay, there wasn't a dry eye, or equivalent sensory organ, in the room. The raw emotion, the unyielding optimism, and the profound insight into the human condition had touched something universal in each being present. Professor Xylara, her scales shimmering with a mix of pride and awe, addressed the stunned silence that followed. In all my years of Sena studies, I have never encountered anything quite like this. This essay, it's more than just a description of a species. It's a mirror held up to all sentient life, reminding us of the core values that unite us across the cosmos. The impact of Sarah's essay rippled out from the classroom, spreading rapidly through the Galactic Academy and beyond. Debates erupted in the hallowed halls of the Galactic Council. Should the long-standing policy of non-interference with Earth be reconsidered? Was humanity ready for first contact? Weeks turned into months as the galactic community grappled with the implications of Sarah's essay and Zara's report. Committees were formed, studies were conducted, and heated arguments echoed through the corridors of power on countless worlds. Finally, after much deliberation, a historic decision was reached. Earth would be formally invited to join the galactic community. Back on Earth, on a crisp autumn day, much like the one when she first met Zara, Sarah Chen walked home from school, lost in thought about her upcoming college applications. As she turned onto her street, she stopped short, her heart pounding. There, in her driveway, stood a familiar figure with silver-streaked black hair and eyes that shimmered with starlight. "Hello, Sarah," Zara said, smiling warmly. "I hope you're ready for another adventure. Your essay, it changed everything." Sarah's mind reeled as Zara explained the situation, the impact of her words, the debates they had sparked, and the monumental decision that had been made. As the magnitude of what was happening sank in, Sarah felt a mix of excitement, pride, and trepidation. "But why me?" Sarah asked, overwhelmed by the responsibility suddenly thrust upon her. "I'm not a world leader or a famous scientist. I'm just me." Zara's eyes twinkled with affection and respect. "That's precisely why it has to be you, Sarah. Your words showed us the heart of humanity, not its achievements or its failings, but its potential. You represent the future that all beings across countless worlds can believe in and work towards." As the sun set over Millbrook, casting long shadows and painting the sky in brilliant hues, Sarah Chen stood on the precipice of a new era. She was no longer just a small-town girl with big dreams. She had become a bridge between worlds, a voice for humanity in a vast and wondrous galaxy. The road ahead would be long and challenging. There would be misunderstandings to overcome, prejudices to dismantle, and a million details to work out. But as Sarah looked up at the stars, now filled with new meaning and possibility, she felt ready for whatever came next. For in writing about humanity, Sarah had not just described her species, she had helped shape its destiny. And in the grand tapestry of the cosmos, that single essay, born from the heart of a young girl who dared to dream, had woven a new pattern of hope, unity, and endless possibility. As Zara and Sarah walked towards the waiting ship, ready to embark on humanity's greatest journey yet, the first chapter of Earth's cosmic adventure came to a close. But the story, the incredible, unpredictable, awe-inspiring story of humanity among the stars was just beginning. And somewhere in the vast expanse of the universe, in a classroom filled with beings of all shapes and sizes, a new generation of students would read Sarah's essay and be moved to tears, reminded once again of the incredible potential that lies within every sentient being, waiting to be unleashed upon the stars.